Yes, yes, yes. It is the Castworthy podcast. We are back at you. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed on the Twitter machine. Joined today by the VP of Research and EJ the Savage. Gentlemen, it is March 28th. Man, fucking years blowing by already.
Yeah, man.
Um, how you guys doing, man? VP is he's the VP of vaccine now. Fully vaccinated, huh? 100%.
Yes, sir. Fully vaccinated. I got about another week before they say it takes about 2 weeks for you to get the full protection that the vaccine provides. So next week I should really, I got both shots, but next week I should be officially fully vaccinated once
Fully
everything kicks
vaccinated,
in.
ready to go raw.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Oh God.
Face first.
Oh man.
Ready to go
This is
raw.
good, man. That's good. At least you know you won't die.
Yeah.
From COVID at least. That's
Yeah.
He's Oscar Mike.
Yeah. What's up with you, EJ? You were missing in action for a week. I can't help but think you were climbing in vagina all over Baltimore.
What you talking about missing for a week? What you talking about?
We ain't heard from you all week.
Man, I ain't been talking about nothing.
And usually when that happens, it's either COVID, which was like a year ago, or you on a hiatus in some vagine.
Nah, man, I've been cooling, man. Ain't been a lot going on. I just been watching.
You got some new butt.
Nah, man, I'm chill. I'm cooling, brother. I'm chilling. Born
You be
again.
video
Born again.
you be video chatting these broads.
No.
Oh,
I'm just
man.
wondering,
Oh,
like
cooking
now.
chicken.
I think about back in the day, like when we used to spend time on the phone late at night and shit, and you'd be like,
Nah,
you know, you'd be like, yo, blow me a kiss. You know what I'm saying? Like I
you
wonder,
ain't leaving at that, brother. Nah. What are you
EJ,
What are you doing to yourself
EJ,
right now?
EJ, EJ be on FaceTime like
Nah, nah, man.
it's a whole nother level if she catch you screenshot of giving her a kiss on fucking FaceTime, nigga.
That's,
Just
Oh,
want you to know
man.
that.
it's demon time these days, man. Shit. All you gotta do is follow certain people, follow certain people. You see the live videos. It's crazy what goes on now. You know?
I know nothing of the sort.
Oh, okay. All right. Nah, man. I've been
Yeah.
chilling, man. Been a work week, mom's got her first shot, so I've been keeping tabs on her.
Nice.
And yeah, man, ain't really, I've been out here and there, but it's just been work for real, man. Just chilling, man. Ain't doing too much.
What'd she get? Moderna or Pfizer?
I want to say Pfizer.
Okay.
I want to say
Okay.
Pfizer, but I'm not 100% sure. I forgot that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, but states opening up the age, expansion there and the qualifications. So,
Didn't didn't you tell us that not to put you on the spot or nothing, but didn't you tell us that that your mom's was kind of hesitant on it?
yeah, she had to
So
be.
that's
She had,
big then, man.
yeah, definitely because in a sense, she has lung disease, sarcoidosis, and that shit, COVID attacks your lungs for a lot of different people. But I also believe that I also had this theory that I think she's asymptomatic because just of the nature of when I had it and didn't know, and then the kids being around, and I think she could have maybe had it and never was. We know it was asymptomatic because when I didn't know I had it, I was around. So
Yeah.
um, so I think I think those '50s babies, man. The lead and the the shit they used to eat.
Yeah,
I think they like, I don't know, but yeah, especially with Marvin, with the rumors and the speculation of Hagler, who was like a year younger than her, you know, um, but I don't know what his lifestyle was. You just never know, right? You never know about
Yeah,
how it takes form to anybody, but it was definitely something worrisome. But the second round is coming, so we still gotta keep an eye out. So
yeah,
yeah,
for sure. Man,
yeah,
my sister-in-law got lucky. The one who lives in Wisconsin, she got the J&J, so she was one and done. So,
yeah. But she also has a 33% chance of contracting it versus you getting two shots and having a 4.9% chance. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I mean
Like
that's
I, I thought about J&J for that reason too, for the single shot, but I mean, I would rather have the higher percentage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
give me the layup.
But also remember that all of these vaccines, in the words of Fauci, are very efficacious. And so, even though J&J has the lower percentage for
success.
prevention of catching COVID, it's still higher than the flu vaccine that everyone gets, as
Oh
well
yeah, yeah,
as
yeah.
it's basically right on par with the Moderna and the Pfizer for preventing hospitalization as well as death. And
Right,
so, while the chances of catching it, are better on J&J, you still are got the best protections for not being hospitalized, not dying. And another shot, or not a shot, but another feather in the cap for the J&J vaccine is that they were actually in the field still when these variants started happening. And
Mm,
so, they have data showing that their vaccine does help against the mutant strains of
mm,
COVID as well. And that wasn't the case with Moderna and Pfizer. So, you know,
yeah. See, and that's the scary part about these the Moderna, the Pfizer, and even Johnson and Johnson. But as we go on and we get more strains and shit like that, are we gonna have to get more and more fucking boosters to protect us? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the fucking problem. And are we gonna have the shortage? And are we gonna have it's out of control, man. But
yeah,
hope and if it's really because motherfuckers don't want to follow the goddamn rules, because people don't want to follow um the guidance, we'll say,
hmm
not the rules, but the guidance of individuals that are saying, listen, we're trying to fucking get herd immunity and get people vaccinated, and in the meantime, just wear your fucking masks, take the precautions necessary. But no, you got these Karens out here and these Bobs and shit, and they want to fucking run around with no mask, and they give no shits about nobody else. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. And you
fuck
have
'em.
that. You have the people who are just, oh, I have my rights, and they don't want to wear a mask. And then those people are compounded by the anti-vaccine folks. And so, I mean, think about every year we watch the news and you see in New York or in California, and in other pockets throughout the country where you have outbreaks of like measles or mumps and things like that, and these were considered illnesses that were eradicated back in the 80s from vaccines. And now, every now and then we turn around, there's mumps outbreaks. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like, next year are we gonna start seeing people with fucking polio? You know what I mean? Like, like, we thought that we had killed off these things with vaccinations, but people won't get fucking vaccinated, man.
but like Chris Rock said, and it goes back to the powers that be. And here I'm on my conspiracy theorist tip. The money's in the medicine, man. Like we talking about hotels and space, rocket fuel, and all of these different things we could do, but we haven't found the cure for everything. And then then anybody who's ever talked about the cure for some of these diseases and had theories about these things, these people wind up missing. So I don't know. I just go off of history, going back to the early settlers when they came here, and our first signs of chemical warfare when they gave people disease blankets and different things like that. I don't know, man. I just think to the off the rails sometimes, you know. And
Mm.
not to mention COVID, how long they knew COVID technically could have existed from the H1N1, series of variants. It's like whose job was it to work on this stuff? You know, I don't know. And it's like somebody told me, a pharmacist told me, with the flu shot, it's like that's why they tell you to get it yearly because that bitch changes every year. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like shit is just crazy, man. And that's why I'm fearful, if anything else, like kind of to what you're alluding to. What the hell are we gonna do the next 20 years around when it's some other shit? Like Steve was talking about the flesh eating stuff, and like it's just like, man, like if we don't do something as a society to be cleaner and to be, you know, just better, what is gonna happen?
And I hear what you're saying, but we have to also remember, and I know that you know this or whatever, but a lot of these diseases, illnesses, whatever, like mumps or measles and those kind of things, we didn't like get rid of those things. Those things still exist. It's just
Hmm.
that we have vaccines that teach your body, hey, if you see this, this is how you fight it, so that way people aren't dying from it anymore, right? You look at something like Ebola, right? Ebola exists in the world. We see outbreaks every year. It just doesn't get crazy because we know how to fight it some or whatever. We don't have a vaccine that can stop you from getting it, but if you get it, it can be fought, to not allow you to die or whatever. So a lot of these things, these viruses and illnesses and things like that, throughout the world, we're still living with. We just, understand how to treat people for it or whatever. But those things still exist on this planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Listen, man, I made it through the chicken pox. I'll be all right.
You know what's crazy too, though? Like when I do go out and I do venture out, and a lot of these different places. This is real quickly. A lot of these places, like the places I frequent, they're still at a capacity range, especially depending on what it is. So a lot of times, it's not a lot of people in there. Your distance, unless it's like people that you get to know. Now, what winds up happening is you start to get drunk, and then you start to meet people that you didn't know. But which is in itself, whatever it is, however you do that. But I go to the bathroom masked up, right? I go to the bathroom with my mask on. I go in there, and it's always
What's her name?
no, no, no. I go in the that's serious. Seriously. I go in the bathroom, right? And it's always a dude in there that takes a piss or comes out of the joint and walks straight out the door. I'm like, dog,
Oh yeah.
how to like that was never excusable pre-COVID. How in today's day and age do you feel comfortable still doing that, bro? Like,
Yeah.
I don't care how drunk I am, I still wash my hands before and after. Like, bro,
And people justify it by saying they don't want to put their hands on the
on the door,
handle for the sink or the door. Well, yeah, but the handle because people have been touching it. you know,
gotta
but
get
yeah,
the
it's
towel,
just
man. Gotta get the towel to, you know what I mean? Tap the joint up, tap the joint down. Like, I don't get it, bro. I really don't get it.
yeah,
But there's a commonality
yeah,
between the people that do that. But
Yeah.
nasty
they're not
bastards,
gonna
nasty bastards.
repeat.
uh,
Oh man.
yeah, man. Um, yeah, I'm scheduled to go get my shot tomorrow. Go over there and be like, hit me.
You going to the convention center?
And no, no, I had an appointment at the convention center and I missed it.
Mm,
So, so I'm going to Walmart. Walmart has the Moderna,
okay.
so I'll be going there. I really do want the Pfizer. I thought about going to the college to Valencia because dude I work with went there, dude, and I expected it to be like crazy waits and shit because it's a walk up, and
Hmm.
that's why I haven't gone. But this motherfucker said he walked in and there was like 10 people in front of him. And he got in, got his shot, sat down for 15, and they let him go. Obviously, checking for side effects and shit.
Yeah.
So I considered doing that, but I didn't have a chance this week, man. It's tough working and not being on unemployment.
Yeah, I think oh my god.
What?
He tried to catch me off guard with that one. Um, but yeah, a lot of it just depends on where you go, time you go, that kind of thing. Like when I got my first shot, walked in, went straight to the check-in. You got an appointment, verified my stuff or whatever. Went in, boom, got the shot. When I went for the second shot, same place, the Orlando VA, and same appointment time, everything, and even the same day of the week. I got both of my shots on a Friday or whatever. Got to the second time, and they're like, "You here for the first or the second vaccine?" I'm like, "The second." And they're like, "All right, go down here and make a right." So I'm thinking maybe people first shot appointments are in one room and second shot another. They were like, "No, go down here and go to the right because there's a line to check in or whatever." And
Mm.
so we get in line, and we were in line maybe like 2 minutes or whatever. And I turned around to my wife and I was like, I should probably start saying, "But I have an appointment." We start laughing because everybody in the line has a fucking appointment.
Right.
2 minutes after I say that shit, here come the Karens in the line. The person's like, "Go down there and make a right. I have an appointment." And we're like, "Bitch, everybody in this line has an appointment." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A bunch of motherfuckers showed up. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Like pre-COVID and shit, like I hated making an appointment for the doctor or the dentist and be sitting there for fucking my time comes and here it is another 17, 22 minutes later and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
bitch, where the fuck are you at? But now I understand the necessities for them to clean, sanitize the rooms and clean themselves up and shit before they move on to patients. So I could see how they could run long. And not only that, sometimes you just got some individuals that have a lot of shit going on and might have a lot of questions and shit where we walk in and we just like, listen, do we got the sugar? No? All right. Well, all right. Thanks, Doc.
Right. And then they tell you, when you go to get the shot, like they tell you you need to bring this, bring that, whatever. So you would obviously think if they're telling you have to bring this shit, you're gonna have to present it at some point. And then so you get those people who get to the front of the line. It's time to check in, and the person's like, can I see your ID, or can I see this or whatever? And oh, digging in bags and shit, like you didn't know, like when you go to the grocery store and that person's digging for their wallet, like they didn't know they had to fucking pay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. Yep. Um, but I see some of the companies like we talked about are talking about vaccine requirements for certain things, right? I think Royal Caribbean said they put out a statement that said one, all of their employees will be vaccinated at least, right? So that's a good thing. Um, and I suspect, right, that they'll have ships that'll be fully vaccinated. They'll have mixed ships, of course, as well, right? Because money's green, so you're gonna want to get them anti-vaxxers and Trump supporter money too. But like the Miami Heat put out that stupid article or announcement that they're gonna have an area that's specific for vaccinated individuals, which I mean, if it's a box, right? If it's like a skybox, that's different. If it's enclosed, because now you might be in an enclosed area with 10, 15 people or whatever, and they're all vaccinated. But if it's like just a roped off area, because I mean, I know we know COVID looks at the red velvet rope
Right,
like the strippers and be like, oh, we can't go in there.
right. This airborne disease definitely respects rope lines and borders. You know, like they got a
Yeah,
mask mandate in that city. Shit, I got to go somewhere else. You know.
yeah.
They trying to be
Uh,
safe.
right. Yeah. So we talked about it last week briefly, and we saw some new versus announcements,
Mm.
EJ, and it's gotten a lot of people on the internet talking about the Chris Brown Usher
Oh
com-
boy.
comparison, and then it makes me think. Um, I was thinking last night driving home, listening to some Thug Lovin'. Um, I was thinking R. Kelly, Bobby Brown, and I don't think R. Kelly can be touched, right? Without throwing an MJ. Like you got to play the goat card to see R. Kelly. Um, but I don't know, man. I think I was looking at Bobby's music, and when you're talking about just 20,
hmm
I think Bobby got 20 of them things for R.
Now, uh, when you talk, Bobby Brown is one of my favorite artists of all time. His first album had maybe one or two, maybe just one or two joints memorable. The second album, you know, um, Don't Be Cruel, right? Am I
Mhm.
tripping? Don't Be Cruel had all of the classics. Outside of that, though, Bobby solo wise doesn't have as many joints as R. Kelly does. When you talking about R. Kelly, you're talking about written, performed, produced. You gotta remember he could throw all of Aaliyah's catalog in there. Because he wrote all of it. He could throw countless other people's joints that he wrote hooks and melodies and produced, and so he is somebody up there. I think Usher could go against. I think Chris Brown, while he has a lot of joints, when you look at verses, and we've talked about this before, your catalog has to hit various generations. We remember when Chris Brown first came out. While we might have been
Yeah,
like, this was catchy, it was nice. That ain't something we throwing on a drive. You know what I'm saying? But R. Kelly and Usher, I think over time have those 20 classic timeless joints. But when you talk about MJ, the only other person you could probably put in that battle is Prince. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
yeah,
that, man. Like, if you're talking about an R. Kelly, like specifically to your question with a Bobby Brown don't have enough tracks, man. I mean, R. Kelly got like 20 albums by himself that he could pull one track from each. Not to mention like an album, for example, like 12 Play that got is just loaded with bangers. You know what I
you
mean?
could pull all 10 of your track or pull 10 out of your 20 from 12 play
Right. You know
easily.
what
By
I'm saying?
itself,
Um,
TP2.
the other album, I can't think of the name of it, but the one with the that's like red and black is the double disc joint or whatever.
I know what you're talking
That
about.
one had a bunch of bangers. Chocolate Factory, you know what I mean? Like
TP2, the
it's
self-entitled R. Kelly.
yeah, it's
This
too
dude.
many bangers, man. It's too many bangers for an R. Kelly versus a Bobby Brown. But like,
Yeah, but you only need 20. You know what I'm saying? Only need 20.
Bobby's Don't Be Cruel album got like that joint it's only got maybe two skips. I think it's got maybe like 13 or 14 tracks. But I mean you're literally gonna be pulling from one album. Everything else that he would do that is monumental goes back to New Edition. And even in some of New Edition's best joints, he wasn't there for. Like Can You Stand in the Rain? He wasn't there for that.
Yeah.
You know, you got to go back to the early joints like Telephone Man and stuff like that.
It's
It was more of the newer joints when they got back together that he had, more iconic joints. So I mean, Bobby was just so iconic for what he did to the game for R&B, being a bad boy, just doing it, his own way. The movies, he was killing it. But when you talk about joints, he's definitely not gonna rock with R. Kelly. Definitely not. Definitely not. And a lot of them 80s, 90s, a lot of them early 80s or 80s guys don't really have extensive catalogs. Maybe a Luther, but
mm,
maybe a Luther has an
whew,
extensive catalog. But then you wouldn't pair a Luther
not with
style
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly. Plus, Luther's not here, but yeah, you wouldn't pair them. So
What's Usher gonna do?
to this,
You talking about early Chris, right?
You
to
be hitting with
this,
the you make me wanna joint. You make me wanna leave the one I'm with. Start a
yeah,
new
Yeah.
relationship.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Listen, man,
What was the other joint?
Usher don't want to with Chris.
The
Usher don't want to with Chris Brown, man.
no, Chris
Usher
Brown
don't want
one
smoke.
with Usher.
Usher
7 o'clock, 7 o'clock on the
Usher
dot
to
in my drop
Oh
top
yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
is murdering that.
Usher don't Usher don't want it with he to me Usher is like the he's like Eddie Murphy. You know what I'm saying? Excellent, great, but he's tailed off like these last few years. You know what I'm saying?
So he's a
Last
Jay Z of
good
R and
amount of
B.
time.
So he's a Jay Z of
Mm,
R&B.
I mean, that's an opinion.
No, I
Some
mean,
people say
he had a great front career, has all the bangers, one of the goats, but more recently he puts out good features, some good, some bad, and he's kind of chilling. I would
what
if I was to match an R&B
I'm
career with Jay Z, it would be Usher. You can't touch him. You
um
can't touch him in his hits. Can't touch him.
yeah, no, absolutely. But when you're talking about some people will say that Jay-Z's gotten stronger with 444 and stuff like that. With the thinking, right? With the thinking music. And I mean, I know you don't like to think when you listen to music. And we know Vari doesn't because he's from Miami. So give him a beat, give him some drums, and that's it. He's all right. He'll slide in his gold teeth. Um, but but I think I don't know, man. Usher and Chris Brown I think is a good one if they can make it happen. Breezy's got some shit, man. And but yeah, I was just thinking about R. Kelly, and I wasn't saying that R. Kelly. Trust me, I don't think R. Kelly could,
Well,
could see
R. Kelly can't
MJ.
do shit right now anyway. So
Yeah. I don't think I definitely don't think he could see MJ, but I don't think anybody can. But I was thinking like when I was thinking about it last time, I'm like, damn, it might take an MJ to get R. Kelly up out of there.
nah, MJ can only be paired with Prince, man. Just for
Yeah.
the history period, and then just the longevity of music and the stuff that they put into it. But I definitely think
Oh
R.
yeah,
Kelly and Usher could go, but unfortunately now, I mean, Usher
but
Usher wouldn't do it now.
No.
R. Kelly got listen, low key, R. Kelly got more hits than Prince
I would agree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I would agree.
It's just
by
that
far, and bigger hits.
nah, it's no doubt. It's just that Prince it came from a different era. There was like a whole like it was just like a
Movement,
whole vibe
whole
about
movement, the
about
Minnesota
him.
sound.
It was different, man.
Yeah. Um, Next week the Isleys are gonna get Earth, Wind, and Fire to fuck up out of there. It's gonna be good though. It's a celebration. I thought about it a little bit more, right? And as opposed to thinking about the matchups and shit, and people, I saw people crucifying the matchups and shit. I'm thinking along the lines of Tim and Swiss, right? And think about their deal with Triller. They're getting these people residual money, continuous money for the remainder of their lives, their generations, their families. They're building wealth for these people based on the deal that they signed. So you got to commend Swiss and Timbo on that, man. I didn't think of it along the lines of the artists that appear and have appeared on versus getting a piece of it. I was thinking about the man, I hope this doesn't get oversaturated and blah 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 blah. But I stopped and sat and thought about it. And I'm like, damn, man, they're gonna make some money for some of these people.
Nah, that was always I thought that was always your central point that resonated with me when you talked about it changing the concert game. Because when we were debating about it one week, it was like, yeah, but the live concerts and the ticket sales, nah. You're now cutting out the middleman of needing the arena, needing the security, having to go on tour when Brandy and Monica had what, damn near 1 million people, which is numbers they can tour 10 years and maybe never have gotten that. You know what I mean? If you think of 20,000, arena for 12 months. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, these numbers are incredible. So
Yeah.
when you talking about Swiss and Timbo talking about they putting on for the culture, like this is really it. Like when you talking about feeding other people, you had Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle, which and if you think about it generationally, right? And I always tell people this, Donna Summer was the first Beyonce of her time. If they had the resources, the machines behind it, the labels, the way Beyonce did, Donna Summer probably would have been the first, megastar, diamond, whatever it would have been, because everybody in the world, white, black, Latino, whatever you were, they loved her, right? So now what you're doing with the verses, and you put a Patti LaBelle and a Gladys, Isley Brothers, and Earth, Wind, and Fire, you're now reestablishing the fans that they already had, those of us that know about their music, that grew up with our parents, and now you're creating a platform where now they can even generate more money than they might have ever had back in the day. So, that is like, man, it's monumental, man. I don't know how the numbers work out, and then I think they even give them like a part of other stuff, like with the rights, and it's just it's kind of huge, man. When you sit back and think about it, you talking about a million people potentially on some of these verses, man. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, and and your reach, right? You're not when you do a concert, you might reach people in Florida if it's in Orlando, right? People that are gonna drive. But when I mean, they're sitting in a city, maybe Georgia, maybe California, wherever it might be for each of these verses, and the reach is across the globe. It's through the internet. The internet is giving you endless reach. So yeah, man, shout out to them. Shout out to Versus, man.
And they
Those are
could
great.
and they could still make it like EJ was saying with concerts, right? So, you could have like this Isley Brothers and Earth, Wind and Fire joint or whatever, right? So maybe not them,
Yeah,
they're older, but like if you had like some of the younger cats or whatever. So like imagine like when it was
seasoned.
Snoop DMX, right? And
Yeah.
you could be like, we're gonna do the Snoop DMX versus, and it's gonna take place in like, you know, fucking
Atlanta.
South Africa or some shit. You have this big ass concert that's happening live wherever it's at, and then also streamed on the internet or whatever. And
Hmm.
and then you could do
Hmm.
it like that where you're moving around to all these different places, throughout the globe, because with the internet you basically you can reach that million people regardless of where you're at. You know what I mean?
Imagine if Mike
Yeah.
and Prince were
Yeah.
still alive and agreed to do a versus.
Yeah, Mike wouldn't do it.
I
I
don't
can
know.
see
Mike,
Prince doing it, not Mike.
No, I don't
I
think
think
Prince
Prince
wouldn't
wouldn't
do
do it
it.
because Mike was the one that
Prince,
rumored to try to work, and work together often, and Prince was
yeah,
against
Prince, a little pompous ass will walk up there.
And yeah, and you got to
uh,
think Michael Jackson was the one that they said worked, and just look at the features that he had later in his career. He worked with a lot more people openly versus, a lot of people, while they had good things to say about Prince and how nice he was, he didn't collab with everybody. He didn't give everybody that opportunity. Mike worked with uh, dozens of people. They said Prince was very nice and very cool, but he didn't want to musically work with a lot of people. You know,
yeah, yeah, especially kids. Um, so we got that SWV and
Escape.
Escape are gonna be doing a verses as well, and I think that's a waste of time because Escape doesn't. I mean, they got some hits, but SWV is they're just classics, man. And Tiny and Ti like to take advantage of people, so I'm surprised
Allegedly.
that they would put Escape up
Allegedly.
there.
Allegedly.
Oh, right, right, right. Okay. Like Cuomo allegedly. Um, and we still got Red and Meth coming, and it was confirmed by your boy
Teddy Riley.
that Teddy Riley that him and Babyface are going to be the rematch. So I still look forward to that. That is Memorial Day weekend. if I mean if he's correct, right, which I'm assuming they've reached out to him. But Babyface, I still even if they don't play the same songs, I think Babyface gonna wash his ass again.
Yeah. The problem that I had with the babyface Teddy Riley from the beginning is that, if for Teddy Riley to be in it, I feel like it needs to be producer versus producer. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
you're facing off against an artist where, yeah, he's produced tracks, he's written tracks, just like Teddy Riley has or whatever. But he's also performing his own music. He also has his own classics or whatever.
Mhm.
There are joints. People, artists write for other artists all the time, right? Like EJ brought up all the songs R. Kelly wrote for Aaliyah and other artists, etc. Right? But there are songs out there that are bangers that nobody knows so and so wrote. You know what I mean? Even listening to that Babyface Teddy Riley joint when he played, I can't remember her name now, the white girl that he played. I have to go back and look at the list, but he is the artist is a white woman or whatever. He wrote a song for her, and when he played it, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know he wrote this. Like it was a banger, but it's like I didn't even know he was involved in this shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's better to have two artists going against each other because they're playing literally their own music.
Yeah, and this is a cheat code because
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was a cheat code because when Teddy Riley ain't gonna sing, Babyface could be like, I wrote, produced, and I'm about to sing this shit right now. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's a cheat code.
and he did,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
did.
You pull out the acoustic
um,
like, mm.
yeah, but I think when you talk about Babyface and Teddy Riley, I think it still gets watchers because Babyface was so like I don't know, he was a performer, right?
Right.
Aside from him singing and playing the guitar and shit, like you got to see his personality, which was pretty dope.
I mean, I'll watch it. I'm just saying I'll prefer if it's two. If it's a producer, it needs to be producer. If it's gonna be artist. So what I don't like it that is artist producer, but I'll still watch it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, the matchups are definitely necessary. Um, but yeah, so good to see, man. We'll get to see some new faces going against one another. Celebration of excellence and creativity. So look forward to that. Um, what else is going on in the world, man? What else is going on in the world? We got a lot of movement in the sports front. A lot of good TV. I started watching the one that you guys were talking about. I think I'm 2 episodes, almost on the third episode. I've gotten to the point where Shorty is she went to go see her husband's match.
Hannah
Uh
Hannah went
Yo,
to see her husband's match.
if if
she's
if doing the
Hannah's
peeking
crazy
through
as
her
fuck, yo.
if doing the
peeking through her panty
unnecessary
drawer and shit.
if doing the unnecessary was a person,
Right.
like,
Yep.
good God. I was like, yo.
It's true though. That's true. Hey, I saw this before we get into that, right? And it made me think of it because Mark is black. Not the Mark we know. Mark on the show. um I saw somebody post something yesterday on the internet, and I think EJ, you will appreciate this for sure. Um and it said duh, 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 duh. Black men are never appreciated unless it's by white women, unless they have money.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah. I don't agree with that.
I don't know about that. Ah, I don't know, man. So many people have told me, that there really is no fundamental difference when dealing across cultures and ethnicities. Um, not no fundamental difference, but not a lot of fundamental differences. So I don't know,
Mm.
man. I haven't been on the other cultural pool outside of Hispanic women, but which I can't even say is another cultural pool for myself. But um, yeah, I don't know.
Let me let let me backpedal. Actually found it. It said no black man is loved properly unless he got money, except by white women.
Yeah,
So
I
I
still don't
mean,
agree.
Sheesh. That's a bold.
so build on it.
That's a bold.
Build on. I saw it yesterday. Yeah, that's a. I mean, listen, man. Listen,
So I think that
I'm gonna leave it in y'all hands. And
I
Var,
think
you've only been loved by one person. So
Oh, so basically you're telling me village, hey, ask Village Peen over here.
I I think that I
hey,
think
Dirty
that
Dick, can you weigh in on this one?
Oh
I
man.
I think that those kind of opinions, get bandied around. It kind of is it's like it's based on your visibility into an issue, right? And I look at a statement like that in regards to relationships the same way I look at
Mhm.
how when we talk about like social welfare programs and people say, "Oh, you shouldn't have food stamps because I see people sell their food stamps," right? And it's like,
Because you
okay,
got lobster.
you you see this, but that doesn't mean that the vast majority of people who are using that program are abusing it in a way where they're selling food stamps. In the same way where, in your circle, you see this black man who is doing, and I don't mean you personally, Steve, I'm just saying in general, but you see this black man who's a good dude, he's a good brother, he's a good provider, good father, good spouse, good partner, all those things like that. And then the,
That's what I see when I look in the
and
mirror.
then that and then this black woman that he's with is just beating him down. And then you like, man, if he had a white woman, that wouldn't be happening or whatever. Because
That's
there's
exactly
plenty
what I say.
because there are plenty of black dudes out there who are all those things that I described and have a black woman that is acknowledging them, that is appreciating them, and that is proud that they're in a partnership or relationship with that individual. It's just that the
Hmm.
people who make all the noise, right? The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So the people who make all the noise, who is the guy is putting in the work, and the woman's being a piece of shit. People are like, oh, if he had just got him a white woman, or if he had just got, X race, then it would be all good. And that's just not the case. It's just what you have. You have visibility into smaller sample size.
I'm gonna take it apart from culture and ethnicity and put it to the part that no man ever gets loved unless he has money. And that
Oh,
and in that there is some truth. Don't no man, don't no woman, don't nobody, especially women, don't want no broke ass, can't do nothing man.
you'd be surprised, man.
You will be.
You'd be
Nah,
surprised.
You will be.
You'd be
I was
surprised.
being facetious, but
Oh, okay.
Yo,
I've
I
seen a
used to
lot.
go to the
Yeah,
barber shop.
yeah, brother.
There used to be this dude that would pop up at my barber shop, and he was driving a something crazy, right? And my barber told me that this guy was a bum, right? Didn't have a job and shit, but he was smashing Prince Fielder's baby mom, right? And
What?
Prince Fielder,
Damn.
yeah, obviously he's paying her child support, good money. She had tons of money,
Jesus.
and this guy's jobless, driving around in her whips and reaping the benefits, right? So that's why I say, you'd be surprised, but I can agree with you to an extent, EJ. Men, I think we're just underappreciated nowadays. It has gone to a woman's world as much as VP doesn't want to say that. Um, you know, they haven't made anything to make life easier on us, but they gave them dishwashers, right?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
JK.
Oh lord. I'm
Just
gonna
kidding.
I'm gonna be canceled before I ever get started.
We already been canceled, bro. Like we've been canceled a long time ago.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
gosh! Wow!
Wow.
Wow!
Wow.
Uh,
Somebody's got to put the edge on.
sheesh!
Like,
I got nothing.
Oh man.
yeah.
I got nothing.
No, you guys
Steve
done?
Steve
You
on
guys
his
done with that?
he on his Burger King shit today, huh?
Amateur way. Oh man!
Listen, man.
Holy cow!
Maybe if I got maybe if I got food stamps and I can go get some lobster and scrumps, I'll be in a better mood.
See, you ain't shit.
Um,
You ain't.
oh man. So yeah, I started watching the one, and I like it, man. I like it. I wanted to watch a little more last night, but I was up late looking at some stuff on the internet. You know, you start looking at stuff, and you find yourself looking at shit that you got.
Mm-hmm.
Not porn this time, EJ. This is this was I was actually doing some research for some stuff, some sheds, right? And I found myself looking at some shit for sale that I had no business looking
So
at.
you've been talking
It's
about
just
having a
crazy.
shed for years now.
I know.
You-
Because it's here's the thing. I keep thinking like I want to buy a bigger house. Cleaned out the garage and shit. I'm like, I need more space to store some of this shit. And then I'm like, I'm just get a bigger place. And then I think about it, and I'm like, you know what? A shed would probably be more affordable than just going out
in
and
the
buying a
short
new
term right
house.
now. I
Especially,
need more room
especially
for my
since
lawn.
Biden, especially since Biden don't want to kick none of these people out their damn houses, man. Like this shit's crazy. I'm trying to capitalize on this shit here. It's just not. It's not working out in my favor.
Yo, you got to think, man. But I seen people have that happen to them and leave the house trash. Like, listen,
Oh yeah,
y'all not gonna get in a good condition. Like, yo,
right.
it's crazy.
Shit on the walls.
Hmm.
Like
But I mean, even when that happens, though, like you get the worst house in the best neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So you basically get a diamond in the rough. You know?
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm okay with that. I
Yeah.
mean, if you take the AC unit and all that shit, if I'm saving, and I suspect September when it rolls around and banks start catching up and start sending out these you're behind and foreclosure letters, I think the market's gonna pop a little bit. It's unfortunate to say capitalizing off of the less fortunate, but it's been happening for hundreds of years. So why not me, right?
It's a way to look at it. It's a way to look at it.
Mhm.
So but going back to the one, you started that off. Yeah, man. I thought, I'm not without leaking anything to come, but I'm always fascinated by TV shows or anything that take place in London. I've been a couple times, and man, it's just like their way of life. Like it's expensive as shit over there. But just like it always just makes me nostalgic to the little bit of time that I spent over there. And like you go over there now, you go to a club and you think you're gonna hear something recent. These motherfuckers are still banging shit from like 20 years ago. Everybody for the most
Mhm.
part, for depending on where you at, they cool. It just always fascinates me to watch, something that takes place over there. The detectives in the show ain't carrying no pistols and nothing. I'm like, it's
No,
it's just
it's so different.
just different.
So
It's
different.
different. Granted, I mean they got their slums and
Yeah.
their hoods, but sheesh.
But they fight in the slums. They out there fighting.
Yeah.
They're not shooting. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
like the show, man. You know what it seemed like to me? Like it seemed like it probably was something Netflix said, let's put this out there. It's COVID. Ain't much on because the show isn't. It's not the best TV show I've ever seen. I like the concept, and I like the story that I've seen so far, right? And when you me and EJ talked about it in the chat, and you'll see when you get to the end, Steve, they do a pretty good job of setting up the chess pieces for what's to come in season 2. And now that the show ended up making it into Netflix's top 10, it's still in the top 10, as a matter of fact, right now. So next year they may, especially, now we'll be post COVID or close to post COVID, and they'll probably be able to put some real money behind it and make it bigger, better. I think that season 2 will really be good. But the concept overall, I thought it was a pretty unique concept. I don't know if that kind of show has been made before. It's the first time I've seen that type of TV. And Hannah, Mark's wife, that bitch is crazy, yo. Like I don't know what the fuck
yeah,
she's
I can
thinking.
tell. I can
And it gets
tell.
worse.
It's timely, because people we have a lot of people that are actually being responsible and staying home and watching TV and shit like that, right? Um, and we talked about it last week. Like the pandemic and COVID has had a major strain on a lot of relationships, right? We're seeing countless numbers of celebrities, divorce and break up. Imagine what's happening, and these people are rich. Imagine what's happening in, the households of the people that, um, you know, are just at home, just tired of their wife or tired of their husband, or just seeing like, or working from home together and just hearing how they talk and like, God, they annoy me. Why do they keep saying this? Why are they so redundant? Why do they keep saying the word nuance? Like, it could be the smallest thing that sets someone off because they hear it every single day. Just saying. But so I think it's timely, and it makes people can relate to it and be like, man, that would be pretty cool, if I could actually see who the person is that I'm meant for.
Nah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a dope concept, man. And I mean, yeah, and COVID, I think definitely speaks to it, and even just in general, that proverbial question that people always have, like, is this the one? You know what I mean? Is this really the one I'm supposed to, spend my days with and that I'm going to be happiest with? You know what I mean? Because so many people get together for other reasons, whether it's finance, whether it's happenstance, we have kids, etc. But this show is saying, yo, that one person does really exist for you, and they're out there, and you can find them. And what would you do if you did?
Right.
So it's definitely intriguing.
Yeah. I want to definitely, I'm gonna definitely finish it out. It looks pretty good. It's got me. I'm caught. I'm excited about, and I think to your point, VP, it's one of those shows that people are at the end of their wits and they don't have nothing left to watch. They don't watch everything on Netflix worth watching, and it's just something new with a new concept too, right? So, but to that point, The Circle, which is one that I talked about years ago, right? Probably a year ago, episodes and episodes ago of our podcast when the pandemic first started, is putting out a season 2 on Netflix, and I am excited about that. It just seems like some people,
Oh, the reality joint.
yeah,
Yeah,
room
yeah, yeah.
rooms.
You got me into that one. Yeah, that was actually good. That was actually good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. That's coming. I think it's April 15th or something like that. So
I'm here for that. I'm here for that.
I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever watch The Stranger on
The
Netflix?
Stranger
That's
No.
that's a good
in
one.
no. Who'd you say was in that?
Uh, The Stranger.
Oh yes, 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 yes. I started it very I didn't get too far into it, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
That's a good one.
So I watched, but it was late at night, so I'm gonna go back to it. But it seemed really, like, just reading the what it was about, seemed really weird.
Nah, it's a good one, especially if you like The One. I would put it above The One. Another London set place. But that one was pretty good, and they set the pieces for the next season as well. But that The Stranger was a good one as well. I started watching shit. It's on Netflix. It's the end something. It's the end something. I can't remember what it is, but it's not good. I don't think y'all would like it at all. I started finding myself watching it simply because I was invested, but um, yeah, I can't remember what the name of it is. When I find it, I'm gonna let y'all know because I don't want y'all to click on it. But it was good.
Is
Yeah,
the
I got
stranger, if
into
I'm
a
not mistaken, is the one where I'll give it to you real quick, VP. Um, before you get into your long one. Um, the stranger is that's the one where the guy or the girl knows something about the guy's family or something
Mhm.
like that.
Yep, yep, yep,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, yeah. I want to watch that. I definitely want to watch that.
And
All right, go ahead, VP. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say I got into a couple of things this week. I watched News of the World, that the new Tom Hanks joint.
Okay.
Well, it was all right. It was, I mean, Tom Hanks is, he's gonna be good in anything he's in, so no problem there. But it was more of a drama, so not a lot of action. Like, even it seems like the action parts that are in there are kind of manufactured to make the audience not feel like EJ watching The Little Things with Denzel. So
Mhm.
so but I watched that. It was straight. It wasn't, it wasn't the greatest Tom Hanks movie I ever seen, but it was straight. I also checked out this joint called Monster Hunters. It has Ti in it actually, but he gets killed very early.
Mila
Um,
Jovovich.
the I don't know her name, but it's the main character chick from Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, yeah, Mila
Um,
something.
so I don't know if you guys have planned to watch it. If you had heard of it, if you are planning to watch it, I would say you probably should move on. So because that shit was garbage. So
It had the
um,
word monster in it. I probably wasn't gonna watch it
yeah,
unless
it's
it's
it's pretty
monsters
trash, man.
ball and I get to see
It's
Hallie's
pretty
titties.
it's pretty trash, man. It's pretty trash. But I also watched this documentary this week. It's actually a six-part documentary series. So I've only watched the first two parts because I thought it was all the way through, and I don't like having to wait like a week for the next one to come out. But apparently, I'm gonna have to. It's about the QAnon conspiracy theory or whatever,
Oh, I heard
and
that
like the
was
guy
really
who
good.
yeah, and so the guy who is like behind the documentary is he's trying to do an investigation to find out who is Q. I'm kind of mad because like through watching something else, I was watching Bill Maher, and I guess since this documentary is on HBO, maybe Bill Maher has access to the whole thing already. And so he said on his show last week who Q is from the documentary, but they haven't actually revealed it on the documentary yet. But the person who he revealed it as who he revealed it to be is actually one of the three people I had my eye on from the episode or whatever that I've seen so far. So I was like, at least I was on the right trail. But that's been kind of fascinating. And the only reason, I'm not into that shit, but the reason I watched it was because like I know about it, but I don't really know what it is. You know what I mean? And so I checked it out, and yeah, it's pretty good. It gives you some detail on not just the conspiracy theory itself, but how it started, how it spread. It talks about some of these online message boards like 4chan and 8chan and all that kind of shit like that. So that
Mm,
that part of it
yep,
I thought was pretty unique.
The show I was
gotcha.
going to tell you I'll stay away from is called The Irregulars. It's TV 14. It's kind of like a fiction, science fiction type of thing set in old time London, and it's bad. And I started watching it simply because I was invested because I watched the first couple episodes through work. But I would
Mm.
recommend it. And then there's another one called Who Killed Sarah. It's one of these European joints with the voiceovers. Dude just did mad time because somebody killed this girl, and now he wants revenge. That lost me completely. I might try to go back to because I started watching it real late. But yeah, there was something else I forgot about. Oh, I started watching this other joint called Ginny in Georgia. That is,
Oh
Oh,
hell
I
no,
started that too,
yeah,
hell no.
but it was slow, right?
it was
It
slow
was
at
slow.
first, and I really only watched it with my kids. So even though it's a little bit older TV for her, it's a teeny bopper kind of thing, with a slight edge to
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So you know,
I saw some clips of that
and it's
shit
not
on
very.
Twitter, and I was like, I'm definitely not watching this. Like, I don't like that's the one where like one of the characters like is like half black and the other one's like half Asian or something, and they be
no,
basically
that's the
trying to
regulars.
have a
That's the
race
regulars.
Olympics,
No,
huh?
no, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one.
We- Right, right. That's this is the wrong streaming network you're looking at. Half black, half Asians. You nasty man.
No,
You
like
fucking.
it's
Uh,
I don't know about
I
that one.
gotta find that shit because I'm think where it's like they like it's hurt like the girl and the guy having an argument about like which race gets hated on the most
Uh,
and like one of them's
Neither Ginny
no.
or Irregulars is about that.
no,
uh,
not at all.
Ginny
Okay.
and Ginny
I gotta
in Georgia is basically about this white woman who has two kids. One is half black. She had her like as a teenage girl, and basically, her past is like really messed up. and now it's coming to haunt their future, kind of. And it's just, you know, it's just a cool dynamic if you have like an older kid around, you know, 10ish, and you know, just looking at pop culture type teenage bullshit. And you know, it's cute. I mean, I watch it with
Mm.
the kids, so you know.
I want to watch. I want to check out Bad Trip, the one on Netflix. Some people said it's kind of funny, but Eric Andre sometimes can be a little OD with his comedy. So, but I'll give it a shot to see how that is. Also, um, Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 2 is out. I didn't get a chance to watch that yet, but will. And shit, on Disney Plus they put out the remake of the Mighty Ducks. So I will be watching that.
That's a new series. I saw the preview
Yeah,
for that.
Game Changers.
Hmm.
Yeah, not the remake. But yeah, Mighty Duck Game Changers. So yeah, I'm gonna watch that because I was a big Mighty Ducks fan, and it has really good reviews so far.
Mm,
It could be just because it's nostalgic, right? It's possible, but Emilio Estevez does pretty good in some of his roles for sure.
yeah, I watched
Emilio.
I watched Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 2 last night, and it was pretty interesting. Um, I'm kind of left to question what is, because I understand some of the things, and it's funny because I thought of the critique that y'all gave for Justice League, in the sense of something happening and then you know not really understanding what's going on. So there's definitely going to be a large element of that for people that see episode 2, because it's some things that
Well,
make sense, but there's some head scratchers. But I think all in all, it's got some good flavor to it.
WandaVision did that to a lot of people too. I think that's just the Marvel writers when they're writing shows as opposed to movies, they're not getting to it. You know what I'm saying? Like with the movies, they get to it and they understand the need to get to it pretty quickly because they're working in a 2 hour window for the most part.
Mhm.
But with the shows, you can drag it. You're talking about getting it into, depending on how many episodes, could be 8 hours, could be 10 hours, could be 12 hours, so it seems like they're a little slower with their shows, but still, the theatrics, right? We talked about it last week, is going to be a big piece that catches people. They did an excellent job with this, with the green screening on episode 1. So
Yes.
I can only assume that it's going to continue to be just as good, if not better.
Yeah, episode 1 was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
I didn't watch WandaVision. I didn't watch WandaVision, but from what I've read and saw on it, um, it's my understanding that basically the entire season was just a way uh, for how they're going to bring Vision back once we get back to Phase 4, or whatever they're calling it, with the next saga in the Avenger storyline or whatever. They use that whole series as a way to how we bring Vision back or whatever.
WandaVision is, and I was surprised. I'm not surprised, but I'm surprised. I'm not surprised because when I think about it, but um, it's actually very monumental to the future of Marvel if they choose to, because comic wise, in the House of M, Wanda, she basically has a breakdown because Vision dies and she's pissed off, and so she alters the entire Marvel universe as we know it. And I think this is how they're going to try to. I mean, and the way they did it on WandaVision is not exactly the way it was done in the comics, but it's similar. And I think this is the way they're going to try to usher in the changes of mutants, and basically that everything that we've known that happened in the last 12 years is kind of null and void because she's turned everything around. I didn't expect them to do it this way on the small screen and not flesh it out as much. Um, but it's interesting nonetheless. And it also then, in Winter Soldier, also has me thinking that it's running concurrently at the same time that all of this stuff is going on. But I mean, you really didn't miss much by not watching it. But yeah, it's interesting.
Well, to your point, EJ, and that's kind of what I was bringing up. Why I said I only mentioned Vision, because I'm aware of what, even though I didn't see the show, I'm aware of what you're talking about. Um, from the stuff that I've seen and read, all those little Easter eggs that they were dumping in WandaVision was basically to troll people who say, "Yo, did you see that thing that was behind the lamp? That must mean that they're gonna do woo woo woo." You know,
Mhm.
and so from everything I've read and seen, they put those little Easter eggs in there, like when in the episode where Quicksilver showed up. I almost called him Flash. Where Quicksilver shows up, and people were thinking like, oh shit, they're gonna merge X-Men with Marvel now or whatever, and or with Avengers, and the stuff that I've seen said they basically were trolling the audience for people who try to figure out what's gonna happen by looking at all these little small Easter eggs based on stuff they know, from the comics and shit.
Yeah, writers always do that because
Yeah.
Easter eggs sometimes, I mean, often really don't mean anything. A lot of these writers
Hmm.
are nerds, and they like cult classic stuff. So a lot of Easter eggs just be like a nod to something old that happened. You know what I mean? Like Zack Snyder has like way too many of them to keep up with in the stuff that he does. But ultimately, WandaVision is super important in the sense that they're gonna base their whole phase four off of what she had did in this show, if that's what it looks like.
Hmm.
So
Listen, they need to stop fucking around and get Wolverine into the Avengers where he belongs. Until that happens, I will forever be upset because Wolverine is that's my favorite character of all time. Um,
Yeah, that's most people's favorite.
yeah, well,
you mean
most
you mean
sane
into the
people. Then you
MCU?
got
You mean into the MCU
then you got
versus Avengers, just the MCU universe as a whole?
right. Well, yeah, that.
Mm.
Um, so I don't think we talked about it last week, or we did briefly, but motherfuckers is shooting shit up again. So so there's that, but it seemed like there was a lot that took place in the way of gun laws this week. So with that, we can transition to VP's Politi moment, and we'll have the VP from the political desk go through some of what took place this weekend on the political front.
I mean, not much has happened towards guns. We're getting the same thoughts and prayers. One side is saying we need to put in, gun control legislation. The other side is saying it's not necessary. It's a mental health issue. At the same time, not wanting to do anything towards mental health. So we're basically in the same place that we always are, where everybody's upset and nobody's doing anything to stop it. And I always come back to the satirical news site, The Onion. Every time there's one of these mass shootings, they put out a story that has a headline saying that um, uh, people in the United States say there's nothing that can be done about this gun violence epidemic in the only country that it happens in, or something along those lines. But anyway, so that's basically it. You had the thing that happened at the Asian spas a week or so ago, and then you had Boulder, Colorado, where there was a shooting at a grocery store that killed, I believe it was 13 people. And in between that, what hasn't been reported is there were more than 10 mass shootings around the country, in between Atlanta and
Mhm.
in between Boulder, and they don't even make the news. Um, so I don't know. I think we're gonna just keep killing each other, and nothing's ever gonna change it.
I th-
But in other more important um, political news, well, actually, before I get to that, you got people who are still getting stimulus checks. Um, the
what's that
Biden
like?
administration is
I ain't get
the Biden
shit yet.
administration.
Neither
Under
did I. They had to deal with this
under Trump, I
MAGA.
got my under Trump, I got my shit in the first wave. Where's Trump at? Matter of fact, that's why I wore the red hat
MAGA.
today.
um, the next thing that the Biden administration is talking about doing is moving over to infrastructure, repairing airports and roads and bridges and things like that. So we're going to see them ramping it up. This week, Biden also increased his vaccination goal. The initial goal was to get 100 million shots into arms by his 100th day in office. They hit the 100 days on day 58. So he increased the goal to 200 million shots by the time he gets to 100 days. They made the new goal on day 65, so he basically has 35 days, and that was 3-4 days ago. So he basically has about a month to get another 100 million shots. We've seen vaccines like crazily ramping up, where we were getting a little bit over a million a day. Now we're averaging like almost 2.5 million a day. A couple of days ago, we hit 3.34 million vaccines in one day. So it seems like people are, being responsible and going to get their shot. And the last thing I'll say for political stuff that happened this week, which was probably the biggest thing that happened in politics this week, was what happened in Georgia. So Georgia passed a sweeping voter suppression bill. They say it's not voter suppression, but it basically is. In this new law that the Georgia legislature signed and the governor, or the Georgia legislature passed and the governor signed into law shortly thereafter, it basically, the thing that most people are talking about is it makes it a crime to hand out food or water to people standing in line waiting to vote. Not says, hey, don't do that. We think it's a bad idea. It makes it a crime. You can be arrested for giving people in line food or water while they wait to vote. It allows unlimited challenges to voter registration. It requires ID to do mail in voting. It bans third party groups from sending out absentee ballot applications. It strips the Secretary of State from being from being the chair of the state election board. It also stripped the Secretary of State of his voting ability on the state election board, and it greatly increases the Georgia's legislature's role in elections. And that part, everybody's latching on to no food or water for people standing in line. That's a crime. And that's, it seems crazy. And that's the thing that's getting the most media coverage. The thing that is the most dangerous in this bill is the role that the legislature now has in election boards. And the reason that that's important is that we've seen over the last election when Trump were calling these local election officials, telling them that the election was rigged and they need to do this or do that, right? So what they have done in this law is that the legislature can essentially take over county election boards. So that phone call that we heard that was recorded between Trump and the Georgia Secretary of State, where he's saying, "I need you to go out and find 11,780 votes, and we win," because Biden won by 11,789. What this law would allow is for the Georgia legislature to basically say to the Fulton County, the Atlanta area of Georgia, to their election board, "You guys are fired, and we're putting in place our own people who might be willing to go out and say, oh, this ballot right here is no good. So is this one. So is this one." And then all of a sudden we have 11,780 votes that were lost for one candidate, which allows another candidate to win. This shit is extremely dangerous. I know that we talk about voting a lot on this podcast, and I always tell people this shit is extremely important. You need to be able to stand in line and get it done. But this shit is so dangerous. In Arizona, they're working on trying to pass a bill that essentially allows the state legislature to overturn the will of the people. So if the voters vote for a candidate that the legislature don't like, they're saying, yeah, that was like your opinion. And we're gonna say our electoral college vote goes towards the candidate we want, you know. And people need to wake the fuck up and understand that their democracy is not under attack. It's already been under attack. We've seen the events of January 6th with the insurrection, but your democracy is in the process of being stolen from you. And you need to wake the fuck up and get involved and do your part to fucking save it, because we easily can be living in an authoritarian fucking country in the next few years with some of these election laws that they're putting on the books throughout the country.
Yep. 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 Um, man, there was something that you said in there that I wanted to touch on, but I completely forgot now.
Food and water.
Um, no, it wasn't food and
He said,
water. Oh, it was the mass shooting thing, right? And I think the reason we don't see the coverage, right, that we speak of is because of the definition of mass shooting, right? It's more than four people. Am I right? Keep me honest.
Yeah, it's an incident where four or more people are either shot or killed, not including the shooter.
Right. Okay. So I mean that's a Friday night in Chicago. So I think that's why we don't see the coverage like we should, right? We don't even see the coverage in Chicago. I mean, there was a shooting last night. I saw it come across my news feed. So um, it's just it's just getting crazier, man. And it's gonna be crazy because people are gonna get outside. Summer's gonna come. Fall, winter's gonna come. All the people that took a year off from seeing people they hate are gonna remember that they hated these people, and motherfuckers gonna be out and about, want to party. Is only gonna be but so many to start, and it's gonna be fights, it's gonna be shootings, it's gonna be killings, right? And um, we just there has to be something. Like people have to be ready for it. People have to take whatever action it takes to stop it. Right? We have to get into these neighborhoods, into these communities, and this generation is just so misled, man. Look at what they're doing for attention. Look at even the ones that are fucking rich and famous. Look at Lil Nas X, right? Anything for fucking attention, right? Fucking gave the lap dance to the devil in his video. Like, come on, dude. You gotta relax. You gotta relax. These It's unfortunate, man, but these men that are in this age group are extremely misled, and we gotta do better, at least for the generation coming up.
So when it comes, and I'm not gonna get on my soapbox about this guns issue, but part of the problem, as I always say, is the guns. You know, um, I watched a news story this morning that was talking about guns. They dedicated the entire program to guns this particular Sunday, and the person on the show brought up a stat that I thought was amazing, but also was not really surprised by it, and that is that the United States is 4.4% of the world's population, and we have 44% of the world's guns. That's insane. You know what I mean? And so, you know, they have mental health problems in every country on earth. They have violent video games in every country on earth. They have economic problems and gang problems and whatever X problem that there is. These problems exist everywhere, but the mass shootings only happen here. And so I think to talk about anything involving gun violence without talking about guns, it's crazy. You know, firefighting without talking about water. Like it makes no sense to me.
I think to add on to that, to add on to it in a different way, I guess speaking towards our black communities and well, not black, but our urban communities, as they say, in the gun violence. To your point, it is about the guns. The guns are on the streets. Ever since 30 years ago. When you talk about the crack epidemic and the quote unquote war on drugs, and how police culture changed because of the firepower that criminals were getting. I think in addition to saying it's about guns, we can ignore uh, the systemic part of this. How the guns infiltrated our cities, how they've been dumped in our cities, the same way the drugs have been. I think VP, you were the one that made this known to me, and the statistic is saying we have all of these gun problems, but in over like 30 years, the ATF didn't grow, didn't get financed properly, didn't have, as much resources as something to that degree, not saying everything verbatim, but this is systemic. When you got kids that are 16, 17 in Baltimore, in Miami, in Chicago, in Bridgeport, in New York, don't have a fourth grade education, but they have access to a $2,000 assault rifle with extended clips. You know what I mean? They didn't, it's like Nino Brown said, we 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 don't have no poppy fields in our backyards. You know what I'm saying? Where did these people get it from? They're not getting on a plane, to get it from China. So these gun shows in these Midwest cities you always see in Chicago, a lot of the stuff they trace back to the guns that are in Chicago come from these other neighboring states of Indiana, Wisconsin, where people are driving these joints in from these gun shows,
Mhm.
but they can never find the guys that did it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's a systemic thing, and I'm only speaking towards the urban communities, not necessarily the mass shooters. But they're allowing us to do this, and it's a totally different conversation for the OGs to have to these young guys because we can't even relate. When we were coming up, me and Steve were coming up, dudes had guns. It might be a shootout, uh, here and there, or, you know, even the park shooters would tell you, or the OGs would tell you, if it's during the day, hey, it's time for y'all to go. I mean, get off the court. You know what I'm saying? To now, where it's like these dudes got high grade military weapons and they just shooting everywhere and everything. If you look back in the summer in DC where 19 people got hit. And in DC, I mean, they are running around with choppers, AKs, and they've been doing this for the last 20 some years. You know what I'm saying? It's no order. It's no respect of life. It's no value for life. And this is a part of the systemic problem that we've had in this country. And people want to say, "Oh, that's far fetched," but look at the FBI, look at COINTELPRO, look at CIA, look at all of the things that we have historic evidence that will tell you this was by design.
Yeah. So now you have also like where you're at, EJ. I saw a headline: Baltimore will no longer prosecute drug possession, prostitution, and low-level crimes. Right. That's just gonna cause. That's gonna forget that I said prostitution, EJ. I know why you're waiting for your stimmy now. Now I get it. Now I get it. But
Come on, man.
um, but as part of those low-level crimes, are they gonna lead to more gun violence in the inner city? Right. I mean, I don't know. Listen, we've had this conversation hundreds of times amongst us. And I've always been on the side of fuck it, guns are fine, right? And to an extent, I still do feel like fuck it, guns are fine, but it's the assault rifles I think is the problem. There's really no reason to have an assault rifle. Let me tell you something. The people that say they need assault rifle to protect their home, who are you protecting your home from? Like if you like
Steppenwolf.
if right, if you wake up in the middle of the night, I can tell you for sure because I have an assault rifle that it's not as easy as people think. Like people envision and they see these movies and they think they're gonna be able to jump up and they're gonna be Rambo in it and shit like that. On top, add to the fact that if you let off an assault rifle in your home, whether it's to protect your home or not, you're probably gonna be deaf. Like you're gonna do some severe damage to your ears unless you have a pretty large home. So there's just a lot to it, man. There's other ways, and I do think I'm at a point now where I think the assault rifles are a little OD. People don't need 10 of them, don't need 12 of them. Shit, people don't need one of them. to be honest, unless you do shoot for sport, right? If you shoot for sport, if you shoot for competition or something like that, I can understand you having one or two or whatever, whatever you feel is needed. But the people that are like, well, I'm a collector, I need 27 of these, right? And they it's like anything else. When someone gets comfortable with something, they don't protect it or keep it as safe as they do when they first get it, right? And that's how these kids are getting them. That's how they're getting their dad's guns or their aunt's guns or their uncles or their cousins, and they're taking those guns and they're doing these crimes and they're making this shit happen. So I know you talk a lot. We talk a lot about guns, but there's a lot more to it too, man. And it's human error that leads to a lot of these tragedies as well. People
But we
just
talking
don't.
about different facets. We talking about different facets of guns. You spoke on multiple facets. You spoke on the miseducation, the lack of security, then the need, the excessive need to have an assault rifle. But and then speaking of the neighborhoods again, this is the illegal sale of firearms to give to the mindless youth who scared to scrap, like you always say, scared to scrap. And then, I mean, even bigger than that, if you ever speak to some of these kids, man, in these neighborhoods, it was one thing to hold down Indian Ave, right? And be like, yo, this is my block. These kids are literally going to war over concrete, right? That the next block over is being gentrified and they black asses ain't gonna be there in a year anyway. And I
Mhm.
mean, we are literally going to war. And it's like, it's something like, I think it's unprecedented just all across the country, maybe with the exception of a few cities, but it's just out of control, man. But, the assault rifles, that to your point, you can't do nothing with that outside of the zombie apocalypse, really. Like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do with an assault rifle if I'm in your crib? You're not going to clear no corner with a big ass assault rifle. It's just I don't know, man. I'm with you. I've always been pro guns, but I never necessarily said you need assault rifles. I mean, I understand people's having rights to it, but like anything else, it has to be regulated. Just like people don't realize your license is not afforded to you. If you do something wrong, it's going to get taken. You can't drive. It's that simple.
Yeah. You talked about the availability of them, and Florida as a pretty big gun state made a slight step, or is making a slight step in the right direction. Previously, let's say I go to gun show, I buy gun, I register gun, I go to Vari, I sell gun. Um, no, I didn't have to. It wasn't required for me to do any paperwork. So said gun goes to Vari's hands, right? And then from Vari can go anywhere, right? No tracking of it. And so Florida has passed some law that says now that you have to fill out that paperwork, and so everything does have to be tracked. Granted, that's not going to do anything for the guns that are not registered, but at least the things that are registered, you don't have stuff. Because I know I've sold stuff here, and I bought guns here that from somebody that I didn't know was just a great deal, and sold it, and at some point it was registered to someone, but it never registered my hand, right? I could have gone, committed a crime, shot someone in the head, and nobody would have ever known who that gun belonged to, right? I mean, unless they caught me and found a way to trace everything back to me, they wouldn't have known who the actual gun belonged to. And wherever it is now, they probably still can't. At this point, they could see who it initially belonged to. But with that change, we'll see that. And I think we need more of that. We need more of that because a lot of these guns that are in the inner city, to your point, EJ, they're not gun. I mean, we're not going to buy them. Like little Tyrell is not going out there and buying them. You know what I mean? This is Jimmy or Bob going and buying them, and taking them across the state lines, like you said, and selling them, at cost. So we need more of that.
Mm, mm, mm.
And
No, that
VP,
means-
and looking at VP's face is saying, no, we just need to ban everything.
I'm
Just
not.
give
I'm not
give
for. I
everyone
mean,
knives.
I do support banning. I do support banning guns, but I also understand that's not realistic, right? But guns need to be more heavily regulated than they are. Also, the regulation for guns, it needs to be national, because When
Mhm.
you hear people say things like gun-free zones don't work, you know, the reason gun-free zones don't work, Chicago and the state of Illinois, for that matter, have tons of gun-free zones. But to your point earlier, there's tons of gun crimes in Chicago. Why? Because people go to Indiana.
Or Michigan or Wisconsin. Um, so yeah, bless you. Allergies. Oh shit, that's the COVID right there.
I was waiting. I was
Told you
waiting.
stay your ass home. You
I was
thought
waiting.
just because you got the vaccine, you could be out in them streets, little hoe.
I
Now
was,
look at you.
I was waiting for
Oh,
you to say it. I say complications. Oh
uh-huh.
man, he ain't
Should have
shit.
never got that damn shot. Should have told him put it in your ass like steroids. Pause.
Oh man, incredible. Oh my gosh. Now
Oh
that's
my
pretty
god.
yeah, that's pretty scary though, Steve. Like, I mean, I didn't know that I didn't know it was like that in Florida. And I mean the VP's point, these are one of those things that the states have gotten away with murder to say, the feds are having too much power over us, and they and correct me if I'm wrong, VP, but they base their logic off of 200 years worth of something that happened. We want to have our own state militia. We want to do this our way because back in 18 this and that. Like, come on, bro. Like, we're not in those times anymore. Like, we're one
Well,
nation.
Right.
One nation
Exactly, man.
to have our
You know,
militia.
when the when the Second Amendment was put to paper and became, one of the rights in this country, we're talking about a time where a person who might have been an expert marksman, an expert, person with a weapon could shoot, maybe could get 2 rounds off, maybe three if they was really good in a minute. You know what I mean? We're now talking about guns that have the ability. I mean, think about Vegas, right? In the space of, I think the whole thing lasted maybe 10 minutes. This dude killed, 50, 60 some people and injured another 600 in 10
from
minutes.
miles away. From a
You
mile
know what I
away,
mean?
damn near.
And so, you know, we have to put some types of regulations on guns. And you juxtapose the gun conversation with the shit with voting, and we make it easier to access guns and harder to access the ballot. Like it's insane, man.
It's yeah, literally regressing. We're literally regressing in nature. We're supposed to be civil, non-animalistic type people, and we're literally going the opposite way. We're taking away liberty and freedom, and we're becoming more fascist and with less control and less guidance and less governance. And like when I went to Italy, man, and I was in Rome, they don't play about that kind of shit. Everybody is doing their thing. They got soldiers everywhere, and I mean they still have that level of military presence from the olden days, but it's just different. It was just a different aura of things, and our country, man, it's just something wrong. But we were built off violence like many other nations were, but unfortunately we just never hung that shit up.
Yeah.
I disagree. We were
But we
built on racism, and that's partly why you see some of the things you see, especially when we talk about voting, because the fact that um, Joe Biden, a white man, and his black and his vice president of African American and of African and Asian descent ascended to the highest office in land, and the fact that Georgia sent its first time in its history sent a Jewish man and a black man to be their representatives in the United States Senate shouldn't be lost on anybody on why we're seeing these restrictions change in the state of Georgia, right? And there are some people who say there's this guy named Dave Wasserman. He basically works in not works in politics, but he's like a political reporter. Does a lot of stuff with stats and things like that. Um, um, he talked about how you know they're making all these changes in Georgia, but the writing's on the wall because Georgia is going to become Virginia soon, right? In the year 2000, Virginia had a Republican governor. All the state officials who were elected statewide, like the attorney general, on and on and on, were all Republicans. The legislature was controlled by Republicans in the House and the Senate side. And in 20 years, we've seen Georgia shift. Virginia shift from being a reliably red state, and then in the mid 2000s, it became a purple state where it could be Republican, could be Democrat, and now it's a solidly Democratic state, right? And people think that Georgia is on its way to that. But the point that I've made on this podcast a lot of times when we get to talk about voting is that when you see changes like the ones that were made in Georgia, it's it's these folks in Georgia recognizing that they could become the next Virginia, and they're saying pretty soon we're going to be the minority in this state, and so we're going to codify into law our majority from a minority position. So we're going to gerrymander the districts to make sure that even though the people don't agree with us on the issues, that we keep the majority in the House and the Senate, so that way we can control legislation in this country. Even though the people probably don't agree with us on politics, we're going to make it so hard for them to vote that when they're standing in line for 12 hours, they're probably going to get hungry. And so we're going to make it criminal for somebody to bring them food or water. So they have to get out of line. We're going to make the poll places close at 5 o'clock when motherfuckers are still at work. They're going to close polls at 5 o'clock. We're going to restrict early voting because people might see it as an opportunity to get their vote in. So we're going to restrict early voting. We're going to make it. We're going to make it go a shorter period of time. So that way, anything that our opposition uses to gain political power, we make it as hard as possible so that they can't get that power, and then we continue to control this state.
VP, no one disagrees with you on that part. I was talking about violence as far as guns, not the voting.
Listen,
I
if
didn't
they
say
would
you disagree with me. I was just
But you
making a
said you
point.
yeah,
don't agree with me, motherfucker.
if they would stretch their food stamps a little longer instead of buying that expensive ass seafood,
Oh
they
my
wouldn't get
God.
hungry in line. Get yourself some snacks, some Dunkaroos. Stand in line with some snacks. You be all right.
Dunkaroos. You could tell you got
But so even though I
It's a
disagree with
six.
that totally, but just think about that as you know, why are we standing in line? I saw a news story in 2020 of a guy in Georgia who waited in line 11 hours to vote. Why?
we not racism. I
All
will
this
always say that.
technology.
VP, I
No, no,
always
no, no,
say
no, no doubt.
racism is
It's
the basis of a large part of everything. I was talking about to the violent nature of our love for guns. We've never hung that up.
I think you guys are on two
no,
different
and EJ, I understood
spectrums
what
right now.
I understood what EJ is saying, and I'm also connecting the gun issue to racism because
Mhm.
guns started flourishing in this country when black people got their freedom, and white people were told back then you need to get guns to protect yourself because them niggas coming for you. Look at what we did to them these past 400 years. You don't think they're gonna get back? And
Absolutely.
so
Yeah,
people
they
started
coming.
loading the clips.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so
Imagine if we weren't so forgiving.
and then back then, black people weren't even allowed to own guns, and they were and our white counterparts basically felt they had to have guns to protect themselves from us. In California, when the Black Panthers started carrying guns, they started using the gun laws in this country the same way white people use them. California banned fucking military assault style weapons. That's how California got a gun ban because black people started carrying guns.
Yeah, the pan. Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
saying that I understand the point that EJ's making. I'm saying that this gun issue is also steeped in racism.
Got it. Because you went a little bit. that when he came back.
Uh, as as expected, as expected. There is no way that VP can talk about a subject without dumping all his knowledge and data dumping on the world. Back in
Nah, nah.
1792, Columbus sailed the ocean blue with guns and
14.
niggas. Whatever it was, I don't know. I'm
That
thinking
shit
about
is
I'm
funny
thinking
though.
about Patron. Um, listen, what else is going on, man? A lot of movement in the NBA. The Nets have out LeBron, and the Lakers. Um, listen, you live by the super team, you die by the super team. Fucking the Nets just have a little bit of everything now, and you know, LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin have gone there this week. There was a lot of other trades, but those are, I mean, they really don't have any substance. I think the team that probably made the most sense, and is going to sound biased, is the Magic, because they did what the Dolphins did. They loaded up on a shitload of picks, dumped off their talent that they had, got some young talent, and they're just going to wait for these super teams to age out and get the fuck up out of here. And it seems like Dolphins did something similar with, you know, waiting on Tom Brady. They got picks on picks on picks.
And Steve, real quick, speaking on the NBA, I just got an alert on my phone that the Nets, using the veterans minimum and the have signed Michael Jordan.
Oh,
I mean, why wouldn't you? He's the greatest of all time, right?
man, listen,
But not,
Dolphins ain't gonna do
it's
shit with all them
I'm
picks.
biased.
Dolphins ain't gonna do shit with all them picks. Okay, the only reason that organization is halfway relevant is because they got a damn good head coach. You know, he's a good brother. He's from New York. You know what I'm saying? But eventually, they're gonna do like everything else. They're gonna let it turn to shit, and he gonna leave. And they're going with Tua. Tua's still the quarterback. So as long as Tua's still the quarterback, they ain't gonna do shit. Sign
Well,
from the hating ass Jets fan. Hate, 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 hate.
they won 10 games last year. But
Allegedly.
but to your point, Steve, I remember when you first started talking about these super teams, and this is back when we used to go to
Oh,
B Dubs and
timestamp this.
LeBron was on the Heat, and I didn't have a problem with it, and
Of
I
course
have to
not.
acknowledge my bias,
Of
right?
course not.
But
Yeah, surprise.
it like
Ta-da.
I didn't see it coming to this. You know what I mean? Like I've talked plenty of times about how all these teams have had two stars or whatever, but what you're seeing first that started with the Heat and then became Golden State and then became the Lakers, and then now
Cleveland.
what you're seeing in Brooklyn, Cleveland, and then now what you're seeing in Brooklyn is like, I mean, it's like the shit is on steroids now.
Mhm.
Like Jesus. I mean, you got Harden, Kyrie, Durant, fucking Aldridge, fucking Larry Bird, the logo. They doing a seance to bring back Kobe. Like it's fucking crazy. Like the people on this team, the league has to do something about this shit. They have to do
Oh,
something
now they
about it.
got to do something about it. You see how
I've been saying
niggas
they got.
be? You
I've
see,
been
you
saying
see
that
how
for a
niggas
while.
be? Oh my god!
The league got to do
I've been saying
something.
it for a while.
They
They
got
got
to
to
How
do
do
something.
dare
something.
they? Yeah, you've been saying this since LeBron left Miami, but when
Yeah.
he was there,
Oh
your
wow.
ass was like, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. Yeah, yeah. Listen, I'm telling y'all, man. Eventually, and so you need the Dame Lillards, right? Dame is gets so much
Giannis.
heat from people, right? But you need the Dame, you need the Giannis that are gonna say, listen, this is the team that put their foot out, put their faith in me. I wasn't the greatest. When I first started with them, they believed in me. They gave me my bag. Here I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna stick it out. I'm not gonna fucking dip and go somewhere just because it's a great chance. And not only that, I want to be the best player on my team. Like, why I need to go to Kevin Durant's team and be number 3 or number 4 option, right? I want to be number 1 option. So, but you need those guys, man. And listen, the Nets are just making it a case to be like, why should I even watch any other games? Like, why should I just,
I've
you
been
know, just
saying
wait
this. Wait for the
the
playoffs.
finals?
Just wait for the
Um,
playoffs. If the
and
playoffs. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, and the Nets been hot even without Kyrie and Durant. You know, Harden's been holding them up. So now you add Blake Griffin into the mix, LaMarcus Aldridge. They still have one spot to sign somebody from the buyout clause, and there's only one big guy that's left, and it's one big buyout person, and it's
Drummond.
Andre Drummond. And if
Yep.
they were to do that, then you just throw the whole NBA out.
And they talking
Um,
about Drummond eyeing the Lakers, but
Yeah, they said he's looking at the Lakers, and there's another team, another good, pretty good team. Oh, the Clippers. I think it was the Lakers and the Clip. No, yeah, I think it was Lakers and Clippers. Um, but why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I go to fucking to Brooklyn? Go to Brooklyn, get this ring, get this 2021 ring, right, and then get paid next year or the year after by another team.
You know something else that I think helps to make this super team thing as bad as it is now, especially with the Nets, is the buyout clause that they put in the collective bargaining agreement the last time they sat at the table, the players in the league, because it allows a LaMarcus Aldridge situation where he leaves San Antonio. No, not what is San Antonio?
Yeah, San Antonio.
Yeah, San Antonio. He leaves San Antonio. He gets bought out, and then because Brooklyn has Kyrie and Harden and Durant, and they can't really afford anybody else, he can go over there and just take a minimum salary, and because he's already being paid from the Spurs with the buyout or whatever, and so they might need to look at that the next time the CBA is negotiated to see if they're going to allow this buyout thing to happen, because I think that's something that's helping this super team thing.
You see how the goalposts move, EJ? When,
yeah.
when you on the other side of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
see,
he was He was more Republican when LeBron was in Miami on this issue.
Oh,
He was like,
forget
"Yo,
about
fuck."
it.
He was like, "Fuck the have-nots. We the haves, baby."
Yeah, there's
Huh?
nothing wrong with it. LeBron
Huh?
deserves a team around him.
The other guys in the NBA lace their sneakers up just like LeBron does. Huh?
Right.
D
you see what
Wade,
happens when
Bosh.
one
What?
person gets access to more information. They can
Oh, is
Uh,
that's what it is.
they can make it they
bro,
can make a better, more informed decision.
this is what I've been saying for the longest time. The parity of the NBA is non-existent. You got these teams like Utah, Denver, they clawing and scratching, they're leading the league, they're doing their thing. Even Philly, they built that team through the draft, and being hurt doesn't help. But then you got the Nets, man. I mean, KD, the league is not gonna reset itself until guys like KD, LeBron, all these other guys, Harden, until they're gone. And we're running with the young guns. And the only fortunate or promising thing we got is that we can see the young generation, that's coming up. These R.J. Barretts, these, John Morant's, these young guys. They
Giannis.
I don't even. I guess Giannis because he stayed where he's at. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess we could say Giannis as well. These guys are willing to stay where they are and get it through the mud and be competitive. You know what I mean? And Jersey is just, Jersey, Brooklyn, it's funny to me, man. And they're really all contingent on what happens with Kevin Durant because, this guy's still been injured, mind you that. Harden is carrying them, but they still give up a lot of points, and they've been in some dogfights. So I'll be interested to see what happens down the stretch. But it's just this top heavy NBA is just nasty, man. The only thing that you can count on to create parity is injury. That's the only thing
I'm
that's
on my
stopping these teams.
Yeah, I'm on my conspiracy shit, man. I don't think KD is as hurt as they making him out to be, nor do I think LeBron or AD are as hurt as they make him out to be right now. I think those guys could
I know where he's
possibly play
going.
right now, but
I know
with
where he's going.
the league telling these teams that they
No more
can't
rest
rest
days.
players. Yeah, you can't rest anymore. So how do you get around resting? you say that you're hurt. You go on the injury report. You know what I mean? Plus, these guys can, they're as long as they're in the playoff picture, right? They're in a good spot, right? The Lakers, Brooklyn, those the other teams that they're going to be competing against. If these guys come back, 10 games before the end of the season, before playoffs start, get their fucking their sea legs, then they run through the playoffs and they'll meet in the finals. Like that's where we're at. So I don't know about that, but MLB opening day is coming rapidly, April 1st. I know VP, you don't care too much about baseball.
Skip the whole NFL situation. Damn.
There's multiple sports, Vari.
I don't watch baseball.
I
Man.
told listen, I am the pacemaker today. We ain't going 3 hours. MLB opening day, the first. EJ, you got your Yankee hat ready. I'm interested to see Garrett Cole and the team get it going this year. Um,
I'm not excited
I
about
know
Cole.
there's not much for us to really talk about from an MLB standpoint. Just wanted to talk about the opening day, but in spring training, there hasn't been much chatter about people with contracting COVID like
Yeah,
last year.
yeah, it
So
hasn't.
I don't know. I don't know what the MLB is doing. But or if we as a country are just doing better, right? We know that the cases are going down and stuff, but you know, yeah. So it's a good thing to see, good thing to hear there. That makes me feel good about us continuing to have sports moving forward, and obviously this the vaccine is going to make that possible and help that out. Um, and since we're here and Vari wants to talk about it, in other news, the Dolphins moved up in the draft.
Move
Ta-da!
back.
All done.
No, they moved
Or
back.
move back.
Move
Move
back.
back rather. I'm sorry.
Dolphins
So you guys
greased
trade.
they greased everybody with no Vaseline. Shout out to them.
Yeah. Who did you guys take advantage of this time? Who did you guys Cuomo?
49ers.
Oh, okay. So you guys Cuomo to the 49ers. 49ers still telling people Jimmy's their quarterback. I don't
And the
believe
Eagles,
that.
right?
No, the
Well,
Eagles.
we moved. So the Dolphins traded with the 49ers to allow the 49ers to move up
Get the
from
three,
12 to 3.
right?
And in exchange, they gave the Dolphins they swapped first rounds this year. They gave up a 2021 third round and then a 2022 first and a 2023 first. So 2 first rounds and a third round for the swap. Then the Dolphins used that to trade with the Eagles, and then they moved up from 12 to 6,
That
and then they
yeah,
gave up.
that's my point.
They, yeah, no, I was just trying to give you.
Y'all greased the Eagles.
So
Why?
y'all ended up with 2 additional first round picks, an extra third round pick this year, and only moved back 3 spots.
Yeah,
And the crazy
Okay.
part is the Eagles, right? Like the Eagles, I'm trying to figure out the logic of that. Like the Eagles went back to 12 after being at 6. And for all of this time, you look at the history of their most recent wide receiver core, right? That wide receiver was a focal point that they've been talking about for a long time. Now, granted, this draft is wide receiver heavy, so it's not as bad. But you move from 6, where you could absolutely positively get your guy, to 12, where you still can get your guy, but not maybe the guy you wanted. And my thing was they moved down, but they only got a 2022 first rounder. You don't move
Yeah.
out of the top 10 and not get something for this draft, especially with the uncertainty of COVID. 2022's class is not as talented as this one based on the needs they have. I said, God damn, the Dolphins is greasing everybody. I mean, the 49ers move made a lot of sense because they got back what they wanted. Y'all got the compensatory pick that they got from our head coach coming to us. Not bad. But the Eagles, I was like, what the hell is the point of that? Like, they should have been trading back with somebody like at 15 or something and got another first round or a second or a third, this year. These motherfuckers got a 2022 first. So you basically telling your fan base, we don't have any desire to win a division this year. We're gonna build and hope for better next year. I don't get it with the Eagles.
So I
EJ,
I think what may have happened with the Eagles here is that much like how people who are alcoholics remove the alcohol from their house, the Eagles took themselves out of the top 10 to resist the urge of drafting quarterback.
yeah, yeah, you might be right. EJ, how do you feel about your team taking Zach Wilson? You think that's your guy?
I think so.
I think so, man. Because talent wise, the kid is
I
talented.
like him.
Yeah,
I like him.
talent wise, the kid is talented. I mean, Sam Darnold has arm talent and physical talent, but the problem for me has always been is he mentally was bad
Decision making.
decision maker. He was bad in USC. He's bad in the NFL. And I think if I'm general manager Joe Douglas, I didn't draft this kid. My next 5 years, my job is on the line. I'm gonna go with the kid that I want to pick. I think we could keep Sam Darnold and then maybe trade back. But if Zach Wilson turns out to be that guy, that would be a huge mistake that we passed up on. Plus, we got to pay Sam Darnold 25 million if we keep him. So, do we want to pay the guy who in three, almost 4 seasons hasn't, gotten better? You could blame Adam Gase, but all that shit ain't on Gase because that wasn't his only coach, and he's still doing bonehead shit, scrambling out of the pocket, out of the tackle box to get tackled out of bounds. Like that's one-on-one football you learn in high school. You throw it away. So I can't. I never liked the pick for Sam Darnold. I've always been on the record said I wanted Josh Allen. So I think this is the one time that I feel like this is an opportunity for us to get a good quarterback at this spot. I think we can't pass.
Yeah.
Trey
And
Lance
EJ,
is
to your
rumored.
point, oh,
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, go
No,
ahead.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say to the EJ's point where he was talking about the Dolphins, saying, oh, they still got Tua, whatever. But because of the draft capital that the Dolphins have built, if Tua turns out not to be the guy, I hope that's not the case. We still have the capital to go and get our quarterback if we need one. In the next three drafts, 2021, 2022, and 2023, the Dolphins have 6 first-round picks, fucking 5 second-round picks, and 3 third rounds. So if we need to get a quarterback, we can get one.
From who though?
I'm saying if we need to draft one.
Well,
Next
they got
year,
him from some pretty. They got him for some pretty shitty teams. They got him from the Eagles, the 49ers,
that
right?
San
So
Fran
these are
pick is going to be
teams.
a top 10 pick.
No, I'm saying, but
I
next year,
don't.
2022, ain't a lot of quarterbacks coming out.
I
Right,
don't know if
but
San Fran's
like I
gonna
said,
be top 10.
next three drafts, we have 6 first-round picks.
Yeah, you guys got a
So
lot of. You guys got a lot of
if
picks.
we
If
if we
something
need
happens.
a new quarterback in 2023, we got the draft capital to do it. I hope that's not the case, but
I do.
The 49ers are rumored to making that jump to 3 for Trey Lance.
yeah.
He's young, so I do think Jimmy Garoppolo might still be their starter this year. Trey Lance is only a sophomore, so I would assume, right, that they're going to sit him behind Jimmy G, and unless he comes out there and murders shit like Russell Wilson did, he'll sit for a little bit, right? At least a year,
Or Drew Brees.
yeah, or at least
Okay.
well, Drew Brees, yeah.
I'm talking about the San Diego Drew Brees.
Yeah.
When they first got
Shoulder
Rivers.
injury. Yep. So I look at that, and then I really was hoping that with those teams trading out, the Eagles mainly, that Kyle Pitts would drop to the Cowboys. Your guy EJ, but I think they're saying a lot of people are suspecting that Atlanta's going to take him, and so with the Cowboys, I'm going to skip all the way to 10 and say I hope they get Patrick Surtain if they can't get Pitts, because we could use the cornerback help.
Yeah, I think the other logic is too if I'm the Cowboys and I need and if you're saying go for corner, if I'm y'all, I would trade back into the second round and maybe take a little later pick because there are so many corners that can go in this first 2 rounds that have big playability. So even if you don't get Surtain, you get J.C. Horn, you can get the kid from UGA. It's a lot of guys.
Well, you got to remember, I think the Cowboys do this regularly. They're getting younger, right? They're working on getting younger. And so with bringing in Diggs, right? And we lost Chidobe Uzie, right? He decided to go to the Bengals. So there's a need there. And I don't know that they want to wait and fill with a second round talent guy when they can potentially get a first round talent guy, which is what I would hope for. Um, but we'll see, man. Although, like I said, if Pitts can be there at 10, I would like him because he's wide receiver talent at tight end.
It's this draft, man, is like booming with wide receivers, man. I don't think people really realize the kid who is Pitts' teammate, Kadarius Tony. He's another first round potential 6'1" Percy Harvin like ability, but he is a way better receiver than Percy Harvin ever was. I mean, he finds the spots in the zone. He's one on one, sure hands. Then you got the kid from Ole Miss. I can't think of his name, but I mean, that kid is phenomenal. Yo, it is so many receivers in this draft, man. It is going to be incredible. I am kind of excited just to see where all of these guys go and what their rookie seasons will turn out to be like. I am excited.
And
Um,
EJ, to your point about the plethora of wide receiver availability in this draft, Shefty was basically saying that is what was behind the Dolphins' moves, was because the Dolphins have, of course, they're not saying they're going wide receiver, but everybody is pretty sure they're going to draft a receiver with that first round pick.
they're
And
gonna go.
Shefty was saying the Dolphins got their eye on three guys. And so if you're cool with either one of the three, why not move back, three spots? I mean, of course, they went to 12 first, but eventually it ended up just being three spots. And then you already know the first three guys are going to be quarterbacks. So one of the three you're looking at, depending on what Atlanta and I believe it's Denver does at 4 and 5, your guy will still be there at 6. So
No, I think y'all did. I think y'all did a hell of a job. I just think y'all greased the Eagles and giving them a
A lot of people,
2022 versus something this year.
yeah, more than the Eagles. They agree both of them. But I think Jamar Chase is who you guys are gonna take.
He
That's what a
might be
lot of
gone. He
people
might be
are.
gone before he get to Miami.
I mean, they're at 6, right? So you got
yeah,
the
6.
first three are
Oh
going to be
yeah, yeah,
gonna, yeah. So Falcons, they'll probably take Kyle Pitts, is what people are thinking, right? And then Cincinnati. So while
Yeah,
Cincinnati
Cincinnati.
could
I
potentially
said
take
Denver.
him
yeah. Cincinnati could definitely take him.
at
Yo,
5, I
let
mean,
me
if
ask
you
you this: what's the thing that happens in the draft that you think shakes up the draft?
This year?
And for me, yeah, for me, it's if Atlanta takes a quarterback. I don't think it's going to happen, but if they did that, I think it shakes up everybody's draft board.
a quarterback,
If Atlanta does,
absolutely. If Atlanta takes Justin Fields, they shake shit up
No
significantly.
question. No question.
Because I think teams like the Panthers might have their eye on Justin Fields. Denver might even have their eye on Justin Fields if he falls to them. Chicago at 11 might have their eye on him if he fell that far. So absolutely, I think they shake shit up.
Yeah, no question. And then you add the other trade piece. Then you add that. Then you add the piece. Well, are they then going to shop Matt Ryan? So that if a team that doesn't get their quarterback in the draft that are now looking, what then happens there? Because while Washington kind of is taking the approach that they're good for now, they would certainly give up whatever they had to get for Matt Ryan right now.
Yeah, or even Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is still fairly young,
He's
for
23.
if I'm Washington, right? So you'll have Sam Darnold who could be available. You'll have Jimmy Garoppolo who will be available within a year or two, right? So
Hmm.
um yeah, things change, man. It'll be interesting. I look forward to it.
We're almost there, right?
Yeah.
It's at
Yeah.
the end of April,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
so we're almost there.
yep.
Yeah. All right. So what else is going on? I think we've covered everything. Anything big that we missed? My phone's dead, so I got my topic. I lost my topic list. Um, we did bingeables. We did Polita Minute. We talked about crazy ass shooters. LeBron being out LeBron
LeBron being out LeBron.
versus yeah. I think we covered everything on my list.
I got none.
EJ being a hoe, yeah, that was covered three, four, five times.
Wow.
Uh,
I resent this. I resent this. It's crazy.
uh, all right, well, we kept it under the 2 hour mark so far, so I'm gonna hand it off to you, VP, to go ahead and get us up out.
All right, everybody. As always, we definitely appreciate you guys listening and rocking with us, especially those of you who joined on the live stream on YouTube or Facebook, for that matter. Definitely appreciate the love and support. Um, uh, when it's your turn, please go and get vaccinated. Like we talked about earlier in the show, I took the vaccine. I got the Pfizer one. It's safe. I don't have any problems. Despite what Steve may have said during my little coughing fit earlier. um, so please get vaccinated when it's your turn. If you got to go out, wear a mask. Try to socially distance. We're almost at the end of the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Please pay attention to what's happening in your states when it comes to voting. Make sure you're registered to vote. Check your voter registration early and often. You don't want any shenanigans when it's time to vote again, and whatever election is coming up in your area. Where we can be found. You guys can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms. Just search Castworthy, whether it is Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Plus, YouTube, etc. Search Castworthy. On social media, you can find us at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy underscore podcast. At Castworthy underscore podcast on Instagram. If you check us out on any of our social media, go ahead and leave us a like. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend, and tell a friend. We can try to grow the audience, grow the podcast together. Um, the last thing I'll say before we get out of here is if anybody who can hear the sound of my voice has any way of communicating with Joe Biden, please get Steve a stimmy.
And me.
It's gonna be a
And
problem.
me. It's
I'm gonna
crazy.
ask you not to talk. Please don't talk about my stimmy.
Hey, yo.
This is a safe space, sir. Nasty
Please get them
man.
brothers their stimmies. They're about to make America great again if you don't. But
How much some
but
tickets to Mar-a-Lago?
but anyway, again, we definitely appreciate you guys rocking with us, and we hope that you will join us on the next one, and we will see you for the next episode of the Castworthy Podcast next week. Thank you. We love you. We're out.